Now our corn will be laying flat in here in 5 minutes. Great. Good morning. Welcome back to the farm here. I hope you guys enjoyed my grain bin tours. Well, we're putting weights back on our big tractor this morning. So we take these donut weights, wheel weights, off of the tractor when we're doing spring work and when we're using those scrapers to try and keep it lighter. So we're putting them back on now for use with the ripper. Just 3 bolts that hold them on there, so it's pretty easy to add and take off. So yesterday while I was gone, Dad did finish the field of beans that we had started combining and got rained out in on Sunday night. There was only a couple of acres there, and so he got that done and then did end rows on the little field across the river from it, or the ditch there, but they were like 18% beans. So we did not keep combining, just wanted to get the equipment out of that field so Phil could finish planting the wheat, which he did. Took the disc over there and disced down some of the low ground that had weeds growing in it or where there wasn't any beans, and some ruts and stuff, and then finished planting all the wheat. Dad this morning unhooked the disc from that tractor, which is why we were putting the weights back on it, because we're done with that. We're going to hook the ripper up. We've got some wheat stubble that needs to be ripped, the rest of that where the clover was growing, so we're going to go work on that here this morning, and then we can start doing some of this bean stubble that is not getting planted to wheat too. So that's the plan for today. Okay, sorry for the little bit disorganized start here this morning, but we had a lot of stuff going on and a lot of people around, and it makes it difficult. So anyway, we've got this ripper hooked up. We're going to go start ripping on some wheat stubble that we had that clover growing in. Dad sprayed it a week ago, so the clover is dying off. It's time to get it worked under and ready to go for spring. So we're going to go and do that. I've also been working on fertilizer recommendations from our crop consultant and trying to get those lined up with our retailer that applies our fall broadcast fertilizer for us. We hire that job done because we just don't have time, basically. For what they charge us to spread stuff, it's just not worth doing that ourselves. So we're getting that stuff all lined up. We've got to get the fertilizer spread before we can do any ripping on the bean stubble. This wheat field that we're going to had the clover. It got chicken litter put on it. It's good to go. So we're going to go work on that here this morning. Dad is going to come and take over for us around lunchtime because I need to make another Rural King run, get some more DEF and RV antifreeze to winterize our sprayer and stuff. So that's planned for today. We'll see what else is going on here this afternoon, but it doesn't look like we're going to be combining beans today. I suppose it's possible, but the sun is going to have to come out. It is pretty cloudy and crappy, and not a good soybean drying day today. Like I said a little bit ago, I think Dad did do a little bit yesterday, but the beans were 18%. They were too wet to do anything with, so I think Phil is going to actually suck some dry beans out of the bin, blend them off with that truckload from yesterday, and haul them into town and just haul a load or two in. So that's the plan. Okay, well, we're getting started here. We're going to start on the east end of this field, which is usually we start on the west side, but this is where Dad was doing all of his dirt work. Back in that low ground is where he got stuck there. We've got a lot of loose stuff from all this dirt that's been moved out onto these hills and stuff that could get sort of slick and muddy if we get some more rain, so we wanted to start here. We did get a little bit of rain here the other day. What day was that? Monday. But I think it only added up to like 1/10, maybe 2/10, and we were plenty dry before that, so that's why we're able to rip today, but the beans are just a little bit too wet yet. So we'll see how this goes. We might have to do some adjustments with depth settings on a few different things, but we'll make it work here and hopefully level things up and make it a little nicer out here. Well, I've made it up to the waterway Dad put in here. We're getting through most of what he's got dirt layered into, and you can see we're mixing it in pretty good, but there is a defined line of where he put dirt and where he didn't. So we got a little bit on the other side over there to go through, but then we'll be into just kind of open field for a while until we get over to where the tile lines are and we get to bounce over those. The waterway looks pretty nice. Dad seeded it down. Some of the straw got a little thick, but that'll happen. And you will notice that it's a lot yellower in the bottom of it than on the sides and the top. That's because the bottom had all the chicken litter stripped out, the top did not, and all that nitrogen that was in it, that grass is getting. We need to put a little nitrogen in there to help get the grass established better. It's almost, the sun's starting to peek out. We are starting to clear off to the west a little bit. I don't know. It's possible. The north, maybe we're going to get some sunshine. We'll be back in the field combining beans this afternoon. That'd be great. I'm not counting on it, but we'll take it. We've got a couple more fields that we need to get out to get the rest of the wheat planted that we could get done today if we can get in the fields, even if it's 3 or 4 o'clock before we get started. So we'll see. We are moving right across here, doing good. I mean, right across, it's slow going. We do 11 or 12 acres an hour. But we've got over 20 acres done. It's almost noon. I expect Dad to be here pretty soon to take over for me. Oh, look at our trees they're getting some color to them. It's definitely fall. My relief driver is here. So we're right up to the edge of the woods, which means he can bounce over the tile lines. Yeah, so that's all right. We did good here. We're getting quite a bit done. We got almost up to 30 acres. I'll let him get started here. I was just going to walk out and show you what we've got for cover crop stuff out here. So this is a field that we tiled. It's the field where Dad was moving all that dirt, obviously. And it's a field that we had clover frost seeded into our wheat stubble, but we put chicken litter on it, and so we ran our disc over it to work that chicken litter in. That's why it's kind of rough and worked up here and not just standing wheat stubble. But we didn't work it deep enough to take that clover out, and that's why the clover grew back. You can see it was starting to flower. Had a pretty good stand there, but a week ago Dad came in and sprayed it, which is why it's dying off. The volunteer wheat is turning yellow, and now we're working it under, and it should make it really mellow and nice and great for next spring for the corn crop. Beautiful. That was a good job. Look at that. Lifting the dirt, loosening, nice and level behind it. It's a great tool. All right, let's go find some lunch. Okay, so it is sunny, nice and sunny, and pretty windy today, which is promising for running beans. It was cloudy this morning, so we're gonna have to wait a little while yet. So we are going to run to Rural King, grab some more DEF. We do need just a little bit more RV antifreeze to get our sprayer winterized. But maybe when we get back, we'll go look at the beans or see what Phil thinks anyway. Load it up again. We're going to try and not drop my phone and crack the screen this trip. Okay, ready to go here. I know that we could get DEF in bulk, but we don't use that much. We only go through 75 gallons a year, roughly. And so right now, from a convenience standpoint, it's just easier to buy it in 2.5 gallon jugs. When we start upgrading some more equipment and get some stuff that's going to use DEF more than just the combine, we'll probably put in a bulk system and buy it by the shuttle. But Rural King is pretty darn cheap when it comes to DEF, and it's close, and it's just, like I said, it's more convenient. We've bought a 55 gallon drum before, but it's really not any cheaper than what we can get it for here, and then we have to figure out how to get it from the drum into the combine, and it's a pain. So yeah, that's why we do it the way we do. All right, I just got back here. Dad called me while I was a few miles away. Said he thinks he's got a bearing going out on a disc gang on this ripper, which I am not very happy about, but we're gonna take it apart and see what's going on. I got all our DEF and antifreeze there. That should be mostly what we need for the fall. We might need a little bit more, but we'll wait till we get towards the end and see where we're at. So, all right, well, he's gonna back that thing in front of the shop here, and we're gonna take a look. Sure enough, that bearing right there, she's gone. Dang. Well, we'll get her fixed here. All right, well, we got the hanger off. It's wore into that some. I don't know how bad. I haven't decided if this is all one piece that comes as one piece or not. There's part of the bearing. There's part of the bearing. There's a holder. She's junk. Okay, so in order to get this bearing off the old one and get a new one on there, we've got to take this whole disc gang apart. And unfortunately, this is the bolt end and this is the nut end, so we've got to take it all apart. If it was this bearing that went bad, we would just take this nut off and pull that one out, and the other side could have stayed attached to the ripper, but we're gonna have to take it all apart. So I need to make sure I can, ooh, that's half of it. I need to make sure that I can get a bearing here quickly, like today, so we can get this back together. So I'm gonna get that ordered here. Okay, well, some semblance of good news here. So you guys remember the scraper kit that I put on this ripper back in the winter, and it required changing out all the bearings and holders? Maybe I'll walk out there and show you, but we've got them back here. The arms that held that rolling basket on had a bearing and these parts right here. These all got replaced when we put the scrapers on because they had a square shaft on them instead of round. Well, these bearings that we took off of there, because they gave us new bearings with a square hole in the center instead of round, are the same bearings that are on the disc gang. So all of these now are spare disc gang bearings. So we're going to take one of those, replace the one that went out, and we will be back up and running here within an hour probably. So it's still BS that it went out on me on a 3-year-old ripper that the blades are not even remotely close to wore out on. But at least we have some. We can change it and fix it and do it quickly. So here is that scraper that we put in on these rolling baskets, and those bearings right there, they gave me new ones for. And so the old ones that we took out of there are the ones that are identical to the ones that was in the disc gang up here that we've got to replace. So that's good. We've got extras. Speaking of windy, oh my goodness, where did it come from? All of a sudden, a little rain and a whole lot of wind. Holy cow. Now all our corn will be laying flat in here in 5 minutes. Great. Anyway, we got this apart. John Deere's got this fancy little tool to help compress the blades and spools on here so the nut come off really pretty easy. We got our new bearing on. It was the easiest bearing replacement I've ever had because the old one slid right off the shaft. I didn't have to get a puller or anything. All right. Well, I guess that dashes any hopes of doing any soybean harvest today, doesn't it? Combining. Oh well, we still need the rain. We had like 1500ths Monday, and just a quick glance at the rain gauge showed about that much again. So if it stops raining here, it's still sprinkling a little bit. Maybe we'll put this gang back on. We can get her back together there. So fortunate we had one. Didn't really cost us much other than about a half an hour of downtime between when Dad had to quit because the bearing went out and when it started raining there. Maybe 45 minutes. Can you guys see our wheat across the road is coming up? This was the first field of wheat. Well, first field of beans that we combined, first field of wheat that we planted. And it's coming up. Starting to look pretty good. It's going to turn real green here in the next couple of weeks, especially if we get some decent temperatures and sunshine and some rain on it. That'll help a lot. Yep. Looking good. Well, we just caught that little line that came through here. That rain that we just got. I don't know if that's other stuff. It's pretty far north yet. But sort of heading this way. It looks like it's going to slide east, so I don't know if we'll get much more. 1600ths it says. 1.61 for the month. That would be the whole month of September. Let's see. High. Wind speed. High for the day. 44. Yeah, it got windy there for a minute. Sun's back out. Rain's over. Let's get this disc gang put back on, and then we'll go home because it's like 5:30. This is a little bit tricky here because we got to get that scraper bar mounted on top of there and get the bolts all lined up and the springs on the scrapers, and just got to get everything in the right spot. We'll get there. Oh, this is easy to get to. All right, it's back on there. They're tight. it does move, but the scrapers make it a pain. So I think we're good. All right, well, I'm gonna pull this up to the fuel tank and fuel it up. It's not empty, but we're here, so might as well. One thing I was noticing this morning is that we probably could use those suitcase weights that fit right there between the rear tires just for a little extra weight. We weren't really power hopping or having any issues with that, but we were running 10 to 15% slip most of the time, which is a little high. You want some slip, you don't want 15%. You want it to be like 4 to 6% slip across the field. If you don't have any, it means you got too much ballast and you're going to damage your drivetrain on your tractor. If you got too much, obviously you're wasting fuel and not being real efficient. And so I don't know if the bean stubble will be different than the wheat stubble was. Maybe we get a little rain, it'll soften stuff up. So I'm not going to put them on right now. I'm going to wait until we get into the bean stubble, which is the vast majority of what we have left to do. And then we'll decide. If we need them, we can put them on. But those weights are a pain in the butt. So if I don't have to use them, I don't want to use them. All right, guys. I'm going home. Well, we got something done today at least. Did a little chiseling. Made some good progress there. Got that thing fixed. And we did get a little bit of rain. Not enough to keep us out of the fields, at least from a tillage standpoint tomorrow. So if nothing else, we'll be back probably running that tomorrow. I don't know. We'll see what else is going on. Maybe a day similar to today where I chisel in the morning and then go find something else to do in the afternoon. Come on. And let Dad run it in the afternoon. But yeah, hopefully we'll get back to harvest here at some point. I don't know when. We got beans ready. Just got to get them dry. Trying to combine. So, all right. Have a good night, everybody. Hit that like and subscribe buttons for me if you would, please. Questions and comments, leave them down below. And we'll see you guys tomorrow.